Back in the 60s, we didn't have season finales. We had the acts. You'd settle into your favorite chair, beer in hand, ready to see the mystery solved, only to find a test pattern or a different show entirely. The networks were ruthless, dumping huge investments into the trash without a single word of explanation. These were the 18 biggest 1960s flops that vanished before we could even say channel surf. Jerry Lewis was the biggest star in the world, so ABC gave him a 2-hour live variety show every Saturday night and a budget that could have funded a small war. It was a disaster from the first minute. Jerry didn't have a script, the tech failed, and the pacing was like watching paint dry in slow motion. The network paid him a fortune to just stop. They canceled it mid-season, and Jerry went back to making movies where he didn't have to fill 2 hours of live airtime with nothing but his own ego. In the mid-60s, everyone was trying to crash in on the Batman craze, which led to some truly pathetic superheroes. Enter Captain Nice. Created by Buck Henry, who really should have known better. The show featured a timid chemist who gained superpowers by drinking a secret formula. He wore pajamas his mother made for him. It was a one-note joke that the network stretched out for 15 episodes before realizing the joke was on them. It didn't fly, literally or figuratively. It vanished into the night without a word, leaving the world safe from both villains and mediocre satire. Before we keep digging through the graveyard of the 1960s, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. We're doing deep dives into the TV history the networks want you to forget, and you don't want to miss what we've got coming up next. Cartoons weren't safe from the flop sweat either. Cool McCool was another James Bond parody, because apparently we didn't have enough of those. He was a secret agent who was cool in name only, usually blowing things up or getting his mustache caught in a door. It was created by Bob Kane, the guy who gave us Batman. But this was definitely not Gotham's finest hour. The show ran for a single season and then took a permanent vacation. No goodbye, no mission accomplished, just a sudden vacancy in the Saturday morning lineup. If you think Turn On was short, meet Tammy. The Tammy Grimes Show featured an heiress who spent money like it was going out of style. The problem was, the audience hated her character so much that the ratings plummeted faster than a rock in a well. It was canceled after 4 episodes. 4. You've had milk in your fridge last longer than this series. The network didn't even bother to air the remaining episodes they'd already filmed. They just cut their losses and pretended Tammy never happened. Jean Arthur was a Hollywood legend, a true star of the golden age. So naturally, TV executives decided to stick her in a generic legal sitcom where she played a defense attorney with a quirky son. It was a waste of her talent and the viewer's time. It survived 12 episodes before the network realized that even a legend can't save a script that feels like it was written by a committee of people who hate joy. It disappeared, and Jean Arthur effectively retired from the screen, probably out of pure embarrassment. Often cited as the worst TV show in history, My Mother the Car featured Jerry Van Dyke as a man whose deceased mother is reincarnated as a 1928 Porter touring car. She talked through the radio. It sounds like a bad fever dream, doesn't it? The show actually managed to limp through 30 episodes, mostly because people were watching in stunned disbelief. But when the axe fell, it fell hard. No explanation for why Mom was a car, no closure, just a trip to the scrap heap. This one has a premise that would never fly today. A bachelor needs to pretend he's married to get a promotion at a conservative baby food company, so he hires a girl to live in the apartment upstairs and pretend to be his wife whenever his boss is around. It's a logistics nightmare and a moral headache. The show lasted 1 season before the marriage was annulled by the network executives. They didn't even give them a happily ever after, they just stopped filming the lie. He and She was actually ahead of its time. It was a sophisticated, witty sitcom about a cartoonist and his social worker wife. It had a great cast, including Richard Benjamin and Paula Prentice. Critics loved it. The problem? Nobody watched it. It was too smart for the general audience of 1967, who just wanted more Gomer Pyle. Despite winning an Emmy, it was cancelled after one season. No big finale, just a quiet exit for a show that deserved better, but couldn't compete with the talking cars and frozen cavemen. Enjoying this trip down a very weird memory lane? If you want to see more content about the bizarre side of classic Hollywood, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel, and it tells me you want more of these deep-cut histories. In one of the most misguided comedies ever conceived, a man dresses as a woman to follow his girlfriend to London, where he accidentally becomes a world-famous female fashion model. The joke was just him wearing a wig and looking uncomfortable. It was offensive, unfunny, and lasted 20 episodes, which is 20 episodes too many. It was cancelled mid-run, and the ugliest girl vanished from the airwaves, hopefully taking that wig with him. Now, we all remember Bruce Lee as Kato, but we tend to forget that the Green Hornet itself was a massive flop at the time. It tried to play it straight while Batman was playing it for laughs, and the audience just wasn't interested in a serious vigilante in a green mask. It lasted only 26 episodes. While Kato became an icon, the Green Hornet himself was shelved without so much as a goodbye to the city he was supposedly protecting. Irwin Allen's The Time Tunnel had two scientists lost in time, hopping from the Titanic to the French Revolution every week. It was expensive, the sets were huge, and the cliffhangers were intense. But at the end of the first season, the network just stopped. The scientists were still lost in time, drifting through history with no way home. The viewers never got to see them return to the present. They're still out there somewhere in the fourth dimension, probably wondering why the show got cancelled. The Invaders was a paranoid thriller about a man who sees a UFO and spends his life trying to convince a skeptical world that aliens are among us. It was dark, moody, and actually pretty good. But after 2 seasons, the story just ended. No final battle, no exposure of the aliens, no victory for humanity. David Vincent was still out there on the highway, pointing at lights in the sky, and the network just turned off the lights on him. There is nothing wrong with your television set. Well, except for the fact that the network moved the show around the schedule so much that nobody could find it. The Outer Limits gave us some of the best sci-fi of the decade, but by the second season, the budget was slashed and the quality dipped. It was cancelled abruptly, leaving us with no more monsters and no more control of our television sets. It was a cold end for a show that pushed the boundaries of what TV could do. A man quits his job, hops on a Harley Davidson, and rides across America to find himself. It was the ultimate easy rider for the small screen, but apparently finding yourself takes a lot of time and doesn't involve much of a plot. It was a quiet, contemplative show that the network didn't know how to market. After one season, Bronson just rode off into the sunset and never came back. We still don't know if he found what he was looking for. In a move that would be unthinkable today, ABC tried to make George Armstrong Custer a TV hero in 1967. The show was met with immediate protests from Native American groups and historians alike. Aside from the controversy, the show was just a standard dull western. It lasted 17 episodes before the network decided to stage its own last stand and cancel it. It's one of those shows that has been scrubbed from the history books for good reason. The 1960s had a weird obsession with making outlaws look like Robin Hood. The legend of Jesse James tried to portray the famous train robber as a misunderstood hero who only stole because he had to. The viewers didn't buy it, and neither did the critics. It was a one-season wonder that ended with Jesse still on the run. No great train robbery finale, just a sudden silence from the frontier. Based on the classic film, this show featured a widow who moves into a cottage haunted by a salty sea captain. It was actually a charming show with great chemistry between the leads. It survived for 2 seasons across 2 different networks, first NBC, then ABC. But after the second season, it was simply gone. No explanation of why the captain was still there or if they ever found peace. They just moved out of the cottage and took the show with them. You might be surprised to see this one on a list of flops, but while The Addams Family was a cult classic today, it was actually a victim of a sudden, unexplained cancellation. It ran for only 2 seasons and was cancelled at the same time as its rival, The Munsters. There was no final episode, no wrap-up of their macabre lives. One week they were there, snapping their fingers, and the next, the mansion was boarded up. It's a testament to the show's quality that we still remember it so fondly today, despite the network dumping it like yesterday's trash. It really makes you wonder what the guys in the suits were thinking back then, doesn't it? They spend millions of dollars building sets and hiring movie stars, only to pull the plug after a month because a show about a talking car didn't beat the evening news in ratings. We lost a lot of good stories, and some truly terrible ones, to the whims of the network executives who had zero patience for anything that wasn't an instant hit. If you remember watching any of these when they first aired, let me know in the comments. I want to hear your stories of the shows that vanished into thin air. And while you're down there, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. We've got plenty more television history to uncover.